truth in journalism, where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources, all we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative hid the truth of mass suffering, injustice, and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo. To expose this shift to oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Hey there, Jordan Sheridan live on a Monday, March 30th, 2020. Hope everyone's having a good day. Hope everybody is staying healthy and not getting sick. And for those of you that have, just get better. That's all I could say, as we're seeing unprecedented carnage going on here in America. I am up against President Trump, who just began speaking. I usually go live a little bit earlier, but I've been working on something, so apologies that I'm a little bit late. We are today have the highest number of deaths, unfortunately, in America related to the coronavirus. I believe the number is currently almost at 500 have passed away just today of the coronavirus. Obviously, President Trump yesterday, after I was live, announced that the restrictions and the, although it's not a national stay-at-home order, the restrictions and the shutdown of the economy is going to continue through the end of April. I think that's the right decision. Unfortunately, I think he's failing at a whole lot of other things. But we'll get into all that. We got 140 people watching right now. YouTube is, unfortunately, screwing with us as usual. So if everybody could press the like button, it's right under the live stream. It's the thumbs up button. Everybody, press that like button. The more people that press it, the more people that will see this live stream. Let's get that up to as many people watching are pressing the like button. You could also do us the honor of following us at Status Coup on the Twitter. We're live on Twitter right now. We are live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Status Coup. You can follow us there and join our email list by going to statuscoup.com. Enter your email there. We're also, we've lost some members, about 35 members we've lost because of people are losing their jobs and having to cut their budgets. So we totally get it for those of you who have unfortunately had to cancel membership. For those of you that can afford as little as $5 a month, we'd like to keep marching towards 2,000 members. That would be wonderful. So keep on signing up, and we will have, Jen and I will have a special members-only video coming up, I believe tomorrow, possibly Wednesday. Stay tuned for that for our members. You're going to really like this members-only video Jen and I are going to do. So, and remember, it's a super chat. So let us know. Somebody said, hey, did your story drop today? I actually just spoke with the editors at the outlet that we're working on it for. At the moment, fingers crossed, at the moment, it's looking possible tomorrow. Looking very, very possible that it's going to be published tomorrow. I don't want to jinx it, but it's looking like our story might be out tomorrow. So I will have, as soon as members are going to find out before anyone else when our story drops. Stay tuned. That's all I could say. So, I'm already getting on Twitter all the usual suspects from 2016. And yes, this is a super chat, so show us some love if you can. We are struggling just like anybody else with the coronavirus and the economic impact. So, I'm already getting on Twitter and elsewhere, Jordan, Shut the fuck up. Ooh, demonetized. Swear jar. Fall in line. Enough criticizing Joe Biden. You're going to reelect Donald Trump. Blah, 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 blah. And you know what? You know what I say to that? I'm not a seasonal journalist. I'm not a seasonal progressive. I don't just turn off my progressive thermometer because the establishment tells me so. I agree, Donald Trump needs to be defeated, but I'm not going to quiet down about Joe Biden's corruption. And if they don't like it, I don't give a shit. Call me whatever you want. Joe Biden is the Titanic, and the Titanic has already hit the iceberg. Thank you, Colin Tooley, for the updated graphic. Thank you, Gina Gal, getting us started in the super chat. $5. Love you, Status Coup, Jordan, and Jen. Appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat. Keep them coming in the super chat. And by the way, yesterday we raised, I think, $600 in GoFundMe, and we're sending 20% of that to a charity here in New York. We already sent it to them to get more masks to the nurses and doctors. So thank you to everybody who supported us yesterday. Keep it coming in the super chat. So Joe Biden, as millions of people are already losing their jobs, and because in this fucked up United Corporations of America, those millions of people that are losing their jobs, no fault of their own, because the Chinese, and I'm just keeping it real, decided to have bat soup. That's where coronavirus started, from an animal in China. Or not, it was a bat, right? Yeah. From a bat. They eat bats in China. And I'm not Trump. I'm not calling it the Chinese virus. I'm not being, anti-Chinese. But the bottom line is, this did start in China. Because of what the Chinese did, it spread. And you literally have millions of people losing their jobs. Exposing what Bernie Sanders has been talking about for the last 5 years, really for the last 2-3 decades. It is not only inhumane, but it is insane to have healthcare tied to employment. And healthcare should not be a commodity. It should be a human right. Despite this, Joe Biden, as millions lose their healthcare, he was asked today, do you stand by, being against Medicare for all? Because it sure seems in this particular situation, Medicare for all could really make a big difference here. Let's listen to what Joe Biden had to say.
Because you've been seeing our healthcare system seems to be crumbling underneath this crisis. There is not enough. There's not enough support for the healthcare system. There's not enough support for the American people inside of the healthcare system. Are you now reconsidering your position when it comes to single-payer healthcare?
Single payer will not solve that at all. The thing that is needed is, for example, we have a whole number of hospitals that are being so stretched, including rural hospitals, they're going to need more financing. That doesn't come from a single payer system. That comes from the federal government stepping up and dealing with the concerns that they have, the reimbursement that they're going to get, how they're going to be able to move forward, and how they're going to be able to provide all the needed help that are needed in their community.
Of the healthcare system. Are you now reconsidering your position when it comes to single-payer healthcare?
Single payer will not solve that at all. The thing that is needed is, for example,
Hold on, folks. Just trucking along here. I'm my own producer, so not always easy. Why is it so big right now? All right. While I try to get the clip, Joe Biden basically was on MSNBC today, and he was asked, do you agree with, are you still standing by not being against Medicare for all? And you know what he said? He said single payer wouldn't fix this. Single payer would not fix the current situation in America. I don't know. I honestly, I want to be fair here. I don't know if Joe Biden is just severely misinformed, if he's intentionally being obtuse, or if he's just an idiot. But no, single payer would have not stopped the transmission of the virus. But how single payer would solve the majority of this problem, there's several things. First of all, single payer, if people lose their jobs in bulk, and no, he wasn't coherent. If people lost their jobs in bulk like this, whether it be through a pandemic, when the climate crisis or the inferno hits us all, it's coming, there would be a government safety net. So people would lose their jobs, but they would still have their health care. Right now, people are losing their jobs, and they have the additional stress of not having health care. So what happens when those workers lose their job? In most cases, your health care is discontinued right away. And you have to go to the emergency room because you get coronavirus. Well, your health care has lapsed. In most cases, it doesn't hang around for 3 months after you lose your job. Joe Biden says, oh no, coronavirus treatment, that testing will be free, treatment will be free. That's what he said. But as far as I could tell, there hasn't been any legislation to make coronavirus testing free or the treatment free. So how is it then that Medicare for all would not solve this? At least if you lost your job already, if you got laid off, if you got furloughed, whatever, and you don't have health insurance effective that day, if you have to go to the emergency room, not only are you sick, but you have just lost your job, your income, and you're going to get hit with, if you're lucky, $1,000 bill, probably more. Medicare for all wouldn't help this, Joe Biden says. And remember, we got almost 300 people watching. Press that like button. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see this very live stream. We got to get the numbers way up. So I need over 100 of you. Over 100 of you need to press that like button. Secondly, Joe Biden claims single payer wouldn't solve this. Of course, it would solve it for the people losing their jobs through no fault of their own. But there's another thing that he said that literally makes no sense. Makes no sense. 1 second. Let me find it. Here we go. What is wrong with my computer? Sorry, folks. 1 second. Huh? Yeah. I'll fix it after. For some reason, clips aren't playing. He also said that you have the government has to step in and help the hospitals who are overrun. It's the government who will have to step in and help the hospitals that are overrun, not single payer. Does he not understand that single payer is the government stepping in? I mean, I don't understand this man. I really don't. Does he not understand that what we're talking about here, Medicare for all, is the government stepping in? I don't really get how this man doesn't understand this. He's literally saying, no, single payer won't solve this. We need the government to step in. and provide more funding to the hospitals, provide more funding to rural hospitals, this and that. A Medicare for All system has that at its base. A Medicare for All system is the overall distributor and payment system for the hospitals, for the doctors, for communities. It's not complicated. But Joe Biden is talking nonsensically, and I'm sorry I can't play the clip. I don't really know what's going on. I have a little lag here. But Joe Biden is continually, and on MSNBC during this interview, saying, no, single payer won't stop that. It's the government that needs to step in. It's the government that needs to provide more funding to the hospitals. I just think he's being intellectually dishonest, because that's what Medicare for All is. It is a government system to provide funding for healthcare, for the doctors, for the nurses, for the dentists, for the mental health, for the hospitals, both in urban and in cities. And Joe Biden, of course, knows this. So I don't particularly know what does Joe Biden think is the difference between government stepping in as the last resort in a pandemic and government being the main go-to all the time for healthcare. If you're saying that the government will step in and provide more funding to the hospitals, then why is it that the government can't just do that, period? Because I really hope, and I just tweeted this earlier, I really, really hope we're done with the how you're going to pay for this bullshit. And keep it coming in the super chat. Because the government, they just figured out with the snap of their fingers how to pay for a $6 trillion corporate bailout. Let me repeat that. A $6 trillion corporate bailout. Snap of the finger. There was no problem. We already know Alan Greenspan at the Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke of the Federal Reserve back in the day said, oh, no, so Social Security will never actually go out because the government could just create more money for it. Remember Ben Bernanke, 60 Minutes, said, oh, no, the debt, we just move a decimal and we create the money digitally in a system. So it's never, this whole how you going to pay for it thing has always just been gaslighting on a mass level. How you going to pay for it is not a real thing because we have the money to pay for all of these things. The problem is there's nobody stopping us from paying for it. You know what's stopping us from paying for it? Joe Biden's donors. The Wall Street banks, the pharmaceutical companies, the healthcare industry, who don't want Medicare for all. Because if we get Medicare for all, then their yachts, their country club memberships, their millions and millions of dollars in executive compensation, profits, in deductibles, copays, and all these things that should not exist go away. And that MSNBC anchor, and I'm sorry, I don't know why the clip isn't working. That anchor who asked him, why not Medicare for all, should have challenged him and said, well, if you're saying that single payer wouldn't do anything about this, how can that be? Millions of people just lost their health insurance because their health insurance is tied to their jobs. Wouldn't they have health insurance now if we had a Medicare for all system? What about the fact that you're saying, the government would step in and help fund the hospitals? Well, if you're saying the government could step in and fund the hospitals, why can't the government step in and provide health care year-round? What's the difference? Artificial Morphicin, $5 in the super chat. If Trump, Biden, and Bernie all catch COVID, Bernie is healthiest to survive it. What then? Will DNC pick Cuomo at the convention or allow Bernie? Artificial Morphicin, I don't know if you're a doctor here and the blood pressure at the moment of all three men and the heart rate at the moment of all three men. I don't know who's the healthiest at this moment if they all three catch it. I hope none of them catch it. I don't like the first two. But, I'm not sitting here praying for people to catch coronavirus. But, it wouldn't surprise me if the Democratic Party and the DNC try to switch Cuomo in. That would not surprise me at all. Drinking hot tea. Oh, that's delicious, that flavor. So, it's amazing. It's truly amazing what Joe Biden is saying. And work with me for 1 second, because I want to figure out what's going on here with my video. Hold on. Because I want to play a video for you. But my screen is like maxed out for some reason. So bear with me. We are not 60 minutes. We will get through this together. Oh man, why? Where are you? Here's the red line. I have found Obama's red line. Hold on. Look away from the screen so you don't get dizzy. I got to minimize the video here. What will be, will be. If you're high, this is enjoyable right now for you. I don't know how my screen got that big. You don't get this kind of production anywhere else. Oh yeah, has anyone watched that Tiger show on Netflix? It's bonkers. Oh my God. I can't skip it. I got to show the video. Oh, Colin, what happened here? All right, I give up with the video. Something's wrong with my thing. Colin, if you're watching, can you tell me how to quickly change my settings? Because the video is really kind of too big. So, what's truly astounding about all this to me, you have this happening as Joe Biden is literally going in these same interviews. Carol Edwards gives me $50 as I try to figure out how to minimize my screen. Thank you, Carol Edwards. Watching it now. Fantastic. Hold on. Maybe I can get it. Ugh, this Biden clip is too good, though. Here we go. Let me go. Oh, my God. Try what? Nah, it's an OBS thing. I'll just skip the clip. Bottom line, Biden was on MSNBC today. We'll put the clips in post. And he literally cannot speak unless reading from notes. He was reading from notes and he lost his place in the notes and he just stumbled the whole time. When he loses his teleprompter or the notes in front of him, the guy can't speak. And Joe Rogan, who the Democratic Party pretends to hate, even though Biden and all of them tried to get on, Joe Rogan basically said, this guy's going to get demolished by Trump. He can't speak. And I know people, and I'm getting it on Twitter, Jordan, stop with it. You're going to get Trump reelected. I'm not doing anything. I'm not the one doing anything right now. Right now, if the Democratic Party doesn't step in, and I am a Bernie guy, but I'm saying if the Democratic Party does not step in and do something about Joe Biden, we're in big trouble. You can't run this guy and expect to defeat Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a lot of things, but he's not stumbling through his sentences yet. And when you mix the lack of vision and policy Right now, Joe Biden's not proposing anything. Everything is restore the soul of the nation. Restore the soul of the nation. Well, I got news for you. Restore the soul of the nation is not something that's going to bring out young people. Restore the soul of the nation is not going to bring out the Latinos you need. And restore the soul of the nation, I'm sorry. Those African Americans in Milwaukee and Detroit that did not come out. People are making arguments online. Well, Joe Biden doubled the primary vote in Michigan, and in other places there were double the number of people. Well, do you know if that doubled the number of people? Do you know how much of those were the voters who went from Obama to Trump? Was it those voters coming back to Biden? Do you know how many of those voters in Michigan were the African Americans who didn't come out in 2016? What about the young people? So in some states, the primary voting might have went up. That doesn't necessarily translate to a general election, particularly if the Democratic nominee can't construct full sentences without losing his train of thought. If you string together every time he talks, every single speech, every single interview, now he has a podcast, he stops himself mid-sentence because he's losing his train of thought. He's losing his train of thought. And every objective person sees this. Every objective person sees this, and the Democratic Party sees this, but they continue to put their head in the sand. And work with me, folks, as I try this one last time, because I can't really do my next segment without being able to show you my screen. So let me figure out why it is. Okay, we want to show you work. All right, for the 400 people watching, hold on. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. Hold on, folks. Screen's going to go black. Window capture. God, I'm proud of myself. Wow.
Woo! Go Jordan!
I am so proud of myself, I can hardly speak. All right, now we're cooking. All right, I want to show you this clip. Here we go.
Do at least several things. One, and in order to avoid those very high numbers, we have to do at least several things. One, we have to depend on what the president's going to do right now. And first of all, he has to wait till the cases before anything happens. Look, the whole idea is he's got to get in place things that work. And in order to avoid those very high numbers, we have to do at least several things. One, we have to depend on what the president's going to do right now. And first of all, he has to wait till the cases before anything happens. Look, the whole idea is he's got to get in place things that were shortages of.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing? By the way, this is not even about Bernie Sanders for a minute. I know we're all Bernie guys and gals here. This is about Donald Trump for a second. I have avoided saying this. I have avoided saying this because I'm not a doctor, okay? This man clearly has early onset something, okay? It is very clear. He's got early onset something. You decide what that is. It starts with a D or an A. This is a disaster. And I say this not as a Bernie Sanders supporter, but as somebody who really, I do want to burn down the Democratic Party. But putting that aside for a second, I don't think the country could afford 4 more years of Donald Trump. I really don't. I don't think we would have nearly 500 people dying in America today because of the coronavirus if we had a competent president. Donald Trump ignored the warnings of his health officials as recent as early February, who were telling him we need to prepare for the coronavirus now. He ignored what his health experts, including Dr. Fauci, were telling him, as far as we need to start warning people now before we become China or Italy, as far as social distancing. We need to do something now, he was told in February. There was a pandemic playbook handed to him and his administration. They did not read it. Frankly, I know a lot of viewers who lean a little bit more libertarian or don't, cry it tyranny, say, no, Jordan, I do not think so. I do not think there should be a national lockdown. I disagree with you. We should have had a national lockdown 2 weeks ago. We should have had a national lockdown, not state by state shelter in place, not state by state quarantines, one uniform national lockdown for 2 weeks. You could say all you want, personal freedom, liberty, tyranny, whatever, but at the end of the day, how free are you right now? How free do you feel right now? My girlfriend and I just walked earlier to see if a doctor that we go to, a pharmacy that we go to is open. There's barely anyone in the street anyway. It's like Armageddon here in New York City. And we're like taking exhaustive, paranoid steps to stay the hell away from people. Donald Trump needs to be defeated. You give Donald Trump another 4 years? Yes, I fear the Democratic Party too. But this guy is a wannabe dictator, and you give him 4 more years, you watch what's going to happen. So I'm not just saying this as a Bernie Sanders supporters. I'm saying this as somebody who really doesn't want another 4 years of Donald Trump. This is the man right now that the Democrats are telling us to fall in line for. This is the man right now.
On what the president's going to do right now. And in order to avoid those very high numbers, we have to do at least several things. One, we have to depend on what the president's going to do right now. And first of all, he has to wait till the cases before anything happens. Look, the whole idea is he's got to get in place things that were shortages of.
It's not coherent. It's not coherent. Seth Peterson, $45 in the super chat. We're with you, Status Coup. The MSM BS that people are fed on a daily basis is really hurting the country. I sincerely hope that outlets like yours reach a bigger audience. We desperately need it. Seth and the Coup community to give you an update. Fingers crossed. It's looking like our story might be out tomorrow morning. Stay tuned. And by the way, Status Coup members, hint, hint, Status Coup members are going to get an alert before it goes out. So if you're a Status Coup member, you're going to get an early heads up when the story is going out. So become a member. $5 a month, statuscoup.com/join. And once the story is out, right now we're thinking it might be out tomorrow actually. We hope you will be a member because we're going to have quite the members call. And we're going to give you all the behind the scenes going on. And for those of you that are in a decent financial position, we are looking for people that could sponsor other people as members. James Caraval, $5. Tear him a new one, Jordan. I quit Twitter, Yacht09, because this BS was driving me insane. Well, this BS, by the way, it's unbelievable. As Joe Biden is stumbling and cutting himself off mid-sentence, you have the Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama cartel telling us this is a huge problem. The fact that Bernie Sanders, 15% of Bernie voters, say they'll vote for Trump. And Bernie needs to work on every day from now until November to fix. He is responsible for the outcome with this segment of voters. And his effort to persuade them to support Joe Biden should start today. The sheer arrogance, the sheer delusion of this Ben LaBolt, who was Obama's something, an official for Obama. And this is how the Democratic Party thinks. They don't think it's up to Joe Biden to convince you to vote for him. No, no, no. And by the way, we almost have 500 people watching. 326 of you have pressed that like button. I need another 150 of you. Please do the patriotic thing. Press the thumbs up button right under the live stream. This guy thinks it's up to Bernie Sanders to get the 15%. By the way, I think it's probably higher than 15%. He thinks it's up to Bernie Sanders to get his people online. Hey, Ben, let me teach you something. And I don't have children, but I'm pretty smart when it comes to this. You know, if you continually tell your child to do something, you know, if you continually tell, your girlfriend or your boyfriend to do something, you know the natural human response is to not want to do it. Do you know when you continually tell people to fall in line, if you continually tell people, no, you need to do this, they end up wanting to do the other thing? They end up wanting not to do it as a protest? I got news for you. If Bernie Sanders dropped out today, went on stage wearing a, malarkey shirt, told his voters, please, if you ever believed in me, if you ever believed in the political revolution, please hold your nose, eat your broccoli, and support Joe Biden. What makes any of these people think Bernie Sanders cheerleading for Joe Biden is going to get all of his voters to vote for Joe Biden? I mean, people love Bernie Sanders, but he's not a king. People are going to vote based on what their interests are. And if Joe Biden is not convincing the nearly 500 people watching right now, or the nearly, however many people have voted for Bernie Sanders, if he's not convincing them to vote for him, then that's his problem. That's the Democratic Party's problem. It's not on Bernie Sanders. People don't just do something because Bernie tells them to. And you're also seeing, in addition to stupid tweets like that, the Amazon Washington Post is now at it. And this is the same script from 2016. They're trying to shame Bernie Sanders into falling in line and trying to shame his voters into falling in line. To some Democrats in that campaign, it was a lesson learned the hard way about the limitations of Sanders' promises of support and the ferocity of his unbridled backers. 4 years later, with the senator from Vermont still running against Biden, despite almost impossible odds of victory, some party leaders are increasingly worried about a reprise of the bitter divisions that many Democrats blame for Hillary Clinton's loss. Quote, "It's the equivalent of a World War II kamikaze pilot," said Philip Raines, a longtime advisor to Clinton, more like a longtime worshiper of Hillary Clinton who carried her luggage. They have no better option than to plow into USS Biden. Hey, Philip, I got news for you. It's not us plowing into the USS Biden. The USS Biden is leaking because it just hit the iceberg. The judgment Sanders makes about his fate and the direction taken by his supporters could be among the most consequential decisions of the race, determining whether Democrats speak with one voice against a president who is already aimed at November or squabble for months more. Although Sanders has long pledged to do all he can to help the eventual nominee defeat Trump, Democrats are still haunted by the last grueling battle, which didn't end after it became clear that Clinton would be the nominee, and instead stretched into the summer convention and beyond. Then, as now, an impassioned band of Sanders supporters voiced their displeasure loudly and widely, sometimes echoing the harshest attacks of Trump and his allies with little reproach from Sanders. So here is, and let's get to Barbara Boxer, that progressive bastion. Quote, "I just think it's a terrible decision for him to make because he looks very selfish," said former Senator Barbara Boxer. "If Sanders is genuine about going all in to defeat Trump, then get out." See, I think there's three fundamental errors that the establishment Democratic Party are making here because they are so out of touch, and frankly, intentionally out of touch. They don't want to be in touch with working people. They're so out of touch that they make three false conclusions and assumptions. Number one, I think they falsely... Yes, I see that Bernie says they're working on a new stimulus package. We'll see what that new stimulus package is. Because what I just saw before I came on live with you, shockingly, Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party, after agreeing to a $6 trillion corporate bailout, guess what? The Republican Party is refusing to play ball on more relief for working people. Here you go. This is from the Washington Post. Oh, wrong tweet. Democratic aides are pushing the need for more dollars for Medicaid, food stamps, state aid, but they may find themselves jammed. The odds of Republicans supporting that for now are at least zero. No more spending. We did all the spending, one White House economic advisor says. Shocker. The master legislator, Nancy Pelosi, she's always called a master legislator. They gave away $6 trillion to Boeing, Bank of America, and all the usual corporate suspects. They agreed to a crumbs for working people. $1,200 is not enough as a direct payment. The unemployment benefits are only for 4 months. There was really nothing in there for labor. There was nothing in there for food stamps, the SNAP program, nothing. Nothing. 500 people watching right now. 400 of you have pressed the like button. I need another 500. Or another 100, to press the like button. So now Nancy Pelosi, the master legislator, is finding it a little shocking that the Republican Party and Donald Trump aren't giving any more for workers. Well, maybe if you had a spine, maybe if you weren't at the mercy of your corporate Wall Street donors, maybe you would have said, no, we control the House of Representatives, so you can't get anything passed without us, and we will not negotiate anything for corporate America until we get direct money to the working class of America. A much larger amount than $1,200, a much better unemployment package, immediate funding for coronavirus testing and coverage for any treatment they need. They didn't do any of that. And now they're finding that the Republican Party won't play ball on Medicaid or food stamps. Shocking. Absolutely stunning. So, what's amazing to me, this Washington Post story and the Democratic establishment in general, they make 3 false assumptions because they're very disconnected. Number 1, they assume that Bernie Sanders supporters give a shit about the Democratic Party. They assume that Bernie Sanders supporters are, blue no matter who, and overall will come home because they are Democrats. The majority, the large majority of Bernie Sanders supporters are young people, new voters, independents, older voters who are technically Democrats but have more allegiance to the policies than the Democratic Party. So we don't really give a shit about the future and success of the Democratic Party. We care about the progressive takeover of the Democratic Party. If you're still with that, a lot of people say, fuck it, third party now. So that's the first wrong assumption they have. Bernie Sanders voters, they're not Democrats, and we're proud not to be Democrats. Secondly, when they talk about that Bernie Sanders, like him staying in too long last time, hurt Hillary Clinton, there's no facts that have ever backed that up. There's no facts that back up that Bernie Sanders staying in the race too long hurt Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was polling, by every account, she was going to win by a whole lot in 2016. What hurt Hillary Clinton was having no message, not campaigning in Wisconsin, barely campaigning in Michigan, and basically having no economic message that inspired people. And picking another, basically a Republican shill as her vice president. Technically a Democrat, but who was Tim Kaine exciting other than his mother? Come on. So, by the way, I think my stream is lagging because I haven't turned my computer off probably in 2 months, so I'm going to do that tonight. I just realized I haven't turned my computer off in a very long time. But the thing that really, really gets my gall about this piece what really, really gets me about this piece. You ever think, you ever hear the term, be careful what you wish for? You ever hear the term, be careful what you wish for? So, all of these establishment Democrats that are begging Bernie Sanders to get out, Bernie. You're selfish, Barbara Boxer says. It's all about Bernie. Do you really want all of the attention on Joe Biden for the next 7 months? Let me repeat. With Bernie Sanders still in the race, there's still media attention on Bernie Sanders. Less so, but there's still attention on Bernie Sanders. He's still going to be interviewed in national media. He's still going to be sending out press releases that the media has to cover. He's still going to be doing events that the media cover. If Bernie Sanders drops out tomorrow, all the attention is on Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Do these people seeing Joe Biden stumble through basic sentences? Do these people saying, Bernie, do the right thing, get out? Do they think that all of the attention on Joe Biden is going to help him become a better public speaker? Is going to make his mind sharper? Is going to make whatever is failing him cognitively dissipate? No, there's going to be more attention on the fact that Joe Biden's not well. Joe Biden is going to get demolished by Trump in general election debates. And by the way, if Bernie Sanders drops out and by default the general election begins, the Trump onslaught on Joe Biden will begin. And I've taken on Bernie Sanders for not going directly at Joe Biden. If Bernie Sanders drops out today, then you better believe in a week to 2 weeks, the ad showing Joe Biden stumbling and dumbling all over the place, forgetting where he is, mumbling through the Declaration of Independence, they're going to start. The ads with Joe Biden sniffing little children's hair, this new sexual assault allegation that's out against Joe Biden that the media is ignoring, which is shameful. Now, Joe Biden's advisors and people that were rah-rah Me Too against Brett Kavanaugh, reports are they're going back and deleting old tweets against Brett Kavanaugh. I'm not making this up. Simone Sanders, his advisor, was caught deleting her tweets on Me Too. I guess Me Too when it's convenient for me. If Bernie Sanders were to drop out, if you want all the attention on you, Joe Biden, that's okay. But he might be down in the polls in 2 months by 10 points because with no Bernie Sanders to share the stage, Joe Biden's going to be exposed. So far, his cognitive, frankly, I wouldn't call it a decline at this point. I would call it a crisis. His cognitive crisis has been shielded because there were so many candidates, and now coronavirus is the focus, and Bernie's still being in. It's not going to be shielded if he is the last man standing. And you watch, if it's just him, oh my God, the DNC will airlift Andrew Cuomo into the convention. Bernie who? No, we're going to go with Cuomo. That's why I said on my live stream yesterday, I know some people don't like it, but I just got to keep it real. I don't know what Bernie Sanders is doing. He's got a golden opportunity right now. Yeah, probably not going to win the nomination. It's an uphill climb, but 50% of the states have not voted. Joe Biden is malfunctioning day by day. Every single day, it gets worse. He could be Bernie Sanders should be going at Joe Biden now. Joe Biden just came out today. I couldn't play the clip earlier. There was a technical problem. Joe Biden just came out. He was asked by MSNBC. Millions of people are losing their jobs right now and their health care because their health care is connected to their jobs. You still anti-Medicare for all? Joe Biden says single payer wouldn't fix this. Yeah, it would. Of course, the virus would happen no matter what, but people would have health care right now. And hospitals wouldn't be hemorrhaging right now because the government would be prepared for this, because the government would be the single payer. Puppet. I'm not disagreeing that he's showing leadership on coronavirus, but he could be showing leadership on coronavirus while competing and exposing that Joe Biden is no longer ready for prime time. Joe Biden cannot get through a national television interview or a live stream, much less 3 general election debates. I know some of you are very triggered at any constructive criticism of Bernie Sanders. Stop being snowflakes. It's okay. We don't have to bow down. But Bernie has a huge gaping hole and opportunity to go after Biden, and he's not taking it. It's unfortunate. Meanwhile, the workers are standing up. The workers are standing up. Now you have work strikes at Amazon, Instacart, and Whole Foods as they are having to work through this coronavirus pandemic with no increased pay, still terrible conditions. After a month of frenzied shopping, stay-at-home measures, and the escalation of the coronavirus crisis, the pressure cooker of the workplace appears ready to boil over. Workers at Amazon warehouse on Staten Island, New York, walked out during lunch Monday over concerns about safety at the job site. How many cases we got? 10 went a call and response chant outside the fulfillment center that afternoon in reference to workers who had tested positive for COVID-19. Co-workers there feared for their own health because workers weren't always physically distanced and the site was not closed to be sanitized. Quote, "We are working long, crowded shifts in the epicenter of a global pandemic, and Amazon has failed to provide us with the most basic safeguards to protect us, our families, and the public health," said Rena Cummings, a worker at the center, in a statement released by Athena, a coalition group that represent Amazon workers and others concerned about the company's influence. Quote, we are walking out to protest the impossible choice of coming to work at a toxic workplace and possibly spreading the virus or going unpaid during an economic crisis. Let me repeat that for you, because this will not change in Joe Biden's America, and it certainly isn't changing in Donald Trump's America. Amazon is owned by the richest man on planet Earth, Jeff Bezos. Yet Amazon was soliciting funds and donations to pay for their workers paid sick leave as recently as last week. Does that make sense to you? Jeff Bezos, who's got more than enough money to pay his workers paid sick leave. If you're an Amazon worker, unless you have a positive coronavirus test, you're not getting paid sick leave. If you have a positive test, they'll pay you while you're home or at the hospital. But what about the Amazon worker that has diabetes? What about the Amazon worker that has a pre-existing condition and doesn't want to come in? Too bad. Got to go to work. In Jeff Bezos' Amazon. Fears of contamination and risk also led to as many as 150,000 workers for grocery delivery service Instacart to execute a nationwide strike on Monday. Their action got wide support on Twitter from notables such as Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and concerned consumers such as Ifanaya Eza, a computer engineering living near Columbia, Maryland. Quote, "I support all workers who are risking their health to help save lives during this crisis," he tweeted with the hashtag Instacart strike and Amazon strike. Quote, "Thanks to these brave people, many families like mine are able to stay home with our families." Amazon faces another potential workplace disruption Tuesday, as some employees have planned a sick out over demands for better conditions, including double pay because of the hazards of working during the pandemic. Workers who would not give their names for fear of possibly being fired said they worry not only about getting the virus themselves from customers or coworkers, as some staffers at stores had tested positive. Quote, "COVID-19 is a very real threat to the safety of our workforce and our customers. We cannot wait for politicians, institutions, or our own management to step in to protect us," read a petition being spread on social media about the Whole Foods hashtag global sickout, hashtag March 31st. I love this. I wish I could be on the front lines covering this, but frankly, I don't want to get sick myself. Not to alarm you, I do have a little bit of a sore throat. Not worried about it. I don't think it's corona, but I am drinking my tea. Hold on. TYT is live. Thank you for letting me know. I didn't know that. So, as people are finally fighting back, because it's not easy as an Amazon worker to fight back. You do a sick out, you strike, you whatever, you're losing your pay, and most of these people cannot afford to lose pay. But what I think is important about this is it shows Bernie Sanders has an opening. I'm not going to lie to you. It's very unlikely he's going to win the nomination. He's 300 delegates down. We could get into arguments about why he's losing, whether it's rigged, all that. And by the way, we do have a report coming out this week, I think, about the exit polls. A lot of you have been asking about the exit polls, so we're going to have a report on that. But the bottom line is, the workers are giving Bernie Sanders as much of an opportunity as Joe Biden is. Bernie Sanders has a massive opportunity right now to say, hey, Joe Biden, your policies aren't going to do a damn thing about national paid sick leave. What are your policies don't do anything for universal child care. Your policies don't do anything in the event of another pandemic, in the event of the climate crisis, putting people out of work. Your Obamacare plus a public option, that's not going to do anything. Take it from Wendell Potter, who I just interviewed yesterday. Let's hear what he has to say if Joe Biden were president during this pandemic.
No, that's exactly right. And details matter. He has thrown out this term public option, as some of the other candidates have too. What exactly does that mean? How would the public option be structured? How could it be put together in a way that people are not suffering the same problems, the same financial stress that they are with private insurance companies? One of the problems too, even if you were to create a public option and it's run by the government more efficiently and premiums are a bit lower, then you will have a rush of people, particularly people who have pre-existing conditions, into this public plan because they will see that it's somewhat less expensive. And the insurance companies will think, while they say they oppose this, they will rig the system. I can assure you this is what will happen, and it is why we are where we are right now, because they will say, well, we can cut rates for people by cherry picking those who we want to have in our business, our health plans, and that will happen without them actually having to do anything. The result will be that those who remain in private insurance plans, their rates might go down because those who are less healthy will be migrating to or enrolling in the public option. It will create, a lot of economists predict this, and I would imagine that it would be true, what's called a death spiral for the public option, in which so many people needing expensive care would be enrolled in the public option that you'd have to pour more and more tax dollars into the public option to keep it afloat.
And something that I don't think gets talked about a lot. Did you hear death spiral, or was that just me? So that is one of the biggest experts on the private healthcare industry, who used to be a private healthcare executive, basically saying if Joe Biden was president during this pandemic, during any other crisis that led to mass layoffs, we'd have the same outcome as right now. People losing their health insurance. So Bernie, if you're watching, I'm pleading with you one more time. One more time. We're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, all right, let's start the dancing. Sorry. Bernie, I understand the limitations. But right now, you have somebody with early onset something. You have a health pandemic, and you are the most trusted candidate on health. Every poll showed it. You got to make a decision. Do you want to go down and be loved by Chuck and Nancy, or do you want to go for it? Because you can still. I think Bernie Sanders has a very slight chance at winning. I'm not going to lie to you. It's unlikely. But right now, people are uneasy, even the people that voted for Joe Biden. And if Bernie Sanders would start going at Biden on the issues right now, not in this mealy mouth, Joe's my friend way, but Joe, your policies and your proposals and your philosophy is part of why we are in this situation now. You didn't cause the virus, but our lack of safety, a lack of a safety net for our citizens, is why people right now are facing, in 2 days, not being able to pay their rent, not being able to pay their mortgage, not having paid sick leave, going into work when they're sick, or they might be sick because they can't afford not to go into work, or they won't get paid. You're not proposing anything for those people. Bernie, he's got among his supporters, 24% of his supporters are strongly enthusiastic about him. 32% of Hillary's voters were strongly enthusiastic about her at this time last in 2016. Not much better, but better. And she lost. Massive opening that he's not taking. As I end today, I would like to talk about, I think, based on the email I got before I went live, I think there's a very good chance that a big story we've been working on is going to be published tomorrow. So for those of you that are not Status Coup members yet, I'm telling you, if you want the behind the scenes and all of the behind the scenes on this major story that I believe we are going to publish tomorrow, sign up right now. statuscoup.com/join. statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for $5 a month. That would be 16 cents a day. I understand there's a lot of people right now struggling. There's a lot of people worried. There's a lot of people who have already been laid off. If you can't join us, we get it. We don't hold it against you. You got to look out for you and your family. But if you got $5 a month, we have other plans too for a little bit more. If you have $5 a month, Jen and I are going to have a members call probably the day after this story breaks, and wait till you hear what we had to go through to get this story out. It's going to be a doozy, folks. It's going to be a doozy. The next members call will be probably the day after we break this story. So if we break it tomorrow, we're going to do the members call on Wednesday. Jordan is a tease. Well, once you see the story and you figure out which outlet it's for, you will understand we didn't have control over when to publish it. We are also looking for sponsors. So if you're in the position, maybe you have enough funds to sponsor, 10 new members at $5 a month. If you could sponsor 10 people at $5 a month, that's 10 new members for us. If you could do that, be the coup you want to see in the world. It's a great quote. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the coup you want to see in the world. No money to join, #sad. That's okay. You'll be able to read the story for free. But the story, it's about Flint, but I think it's going to connect to everything going on right now. It's going to talk about greed. It's going to expose corruption. It's going to show what happens when Republicans and Democrats sell average working people out. Can I join the members call without showing myself? I am very ugly and insecure. Norfolk, I am sure you were one of the most beautiful boys or girls at the dance, okay? Don't call yourself ugly. And yes, it's a video call, but if you press the video button, you could mute your video or be on video. So you don't have to be on video. But don't you call yourself ugly to me again. I don't like it. And yes, Henry, what does Bernie have to lose at this point? If you're going to go down swinging. Enough with Joe Biden as your friend. If he's your friend, do something for your friend there, because he needs to be taken home and put to bed by his wife. He needs to be taken to a home. Any last minute questions, comments, concerns before I go? I'm going to shut down my computer after this. I think that's why it was lagging. Sweet, take the bastards down. By the way, I know there's a big to-do about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. There was a political story about it. I'll get to that another day. I don't have time right now. I got some issues with what AOC is doing. I'm not calling her a sellout, but I do have some issues with what AOC is doing. Preserve your voice, Jordan. Absolutely. I've been getting yelled at by my beautiful love all day. She said she didn't want me to do a live stream today. Can you believe that? Anyway, is AOC really changing her tune? I think AOC's thinking I got to go the pragmatic way. I got to work with the corrupt people here. I don't know about that. The notion that Sanders is control opposition still hasn't occurred to you, Jordan. Hey, Russian bot. If you really think that Bernie Sanders is controlled opposition, and I hear these people talking about, I hear people who used to love Bernie now calling him a fraud and a sellout. Honestly, that's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. If you really think Bernie Sanders is controlled opposition, then you need your head examined. No, I don't think that. And I don't think he's a sellout either. I think he has moved the country significantly left, and Bernie Sanders has done more than most of us will ever dream. He's not doing what we need him to do right now, but to call someone a fraud and a sellout, chill out. He's not a fraud. He's not a sellout. He's certainly not controlled opposition. Fundamentally, Bernie Sanders was never willing to lead a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party, and that's the only way you're going to take over a corrupt Democratic Party. A hostile takeover. But I didn't hear these people calling him a fraud and a sellout saying that when he was on 60 Minutes a month ago as the front runner. I didn't hear anybody calling him a fraud and a sellout when he won Nevada by, 35, 40 points? And it looked like he was going to wrap up the nomination on Super Tuesday. Nobody was calling him a sellout and a fraud then. How quickly people change and jump off the train. This is a Golden Girls mug. Stay golden, folks. I bought that for a knot. Devin, did you just become a member? Wait a minute. I got to check. You'd be our first member today. I could go to bed not at 0 gains today. Let me see if Devin joined. I'm putting you on blast. Welcome, new member, Devin! We are now at 1,838 Status Coup members. So we got a lot of work to do. We've lost 35 members because of the coronavirus pandemic. A lot of people have to cancel because of getting laid off and all that stuff. But we need more people to sign up, even at $5 a month. Russian bot, I get it. Russian bot says, Jordan, we're fed up. Bernie Sanders has been saying this whole time, not me, us. He can't do it alone. So if you're fed up, I get it. I'm fed up too. I'm a Brooklyn brawler, baby. I would have punched Joe Biden in the face, figuratively. But I would have gone hard on Joe Biden. And I would have made sure every black man and woman in South Carolina, all over this country, knew this man has been lying since he was born. He's not a friend of black people. He's been lying about getting arrested and meeting with Nelson Mandela in South Africa. He's been lying about participating on the front lines of civil rights sit-ins. He's been lying about his Iraq war vote. He's been lying about everything. But Bernie Sanders didn't want to do that. I would have. But it's easy for us here to Monday morning quarterback. It's a lot harder to be the candidate. And you got to make a lot of decisions. I think he made the wrong decision when he and his wife apparently decided they didn't want to go negative on Joe Biden. But that's his decision. But to then, because he's not doing exactly what you want, to then say he's a fraud, he's a sellout, I get the frustration. But you can't jump on the train when it's good for you and jump off the train when you're not getting what you want. No. In sports, they call that a front runner. He's not doing what he needs to do, but that doesn't mean he's a sellout. And he should have stopped with the My Friend Joe talk a long time ago, because going easy on Joe Biden, by the way, is not helping him. It's hurting him, because you know who's not going to go easy on Joe Biden? Donald Trump and the Republican Party, who are just itching to let loose the ads calling him a dementia patient, saying he can't stay awake past 3 p.m., showing him sniffing little girls' hair, showing him talking about he loves little children sitting and rubbing on his hairy legs. This is all coming. And this Washington Post piece that pretends, and that Hillary Clinton's people pretends that oh, Bernie Sanders campaign and Bernie going negative on Hillary or Bernie going negative on Biden somehow is giving the Republicans ideas, that is fucking laughable. Do you think Donald Trump and the Republican Party need ideas from Bernie Sanders on how to take on Joe Biden? Welcome new Status Coup member Lana. Woo! We are now at 1,839 members. Can I get an 8,000? Can I get a 1,840? One more. We're at 1,839 members now. Keep signing up. $5 a month. Remember, folks, I know you guys think I'm a tease. I know I've been talking about this big story, but before I signed on today, I got an email saying, let me put it this way. As long as it gets approved by the outlets that we're publishing it for, as long as it gets approved by their top people, that would be legal, the lawyers, it's going to be published tomorrow. That's what I was just told. And there's a method to the madness. There's a reason why we're using a corporate outlet this time. And we'll let you know after it's published why. Next time, we're going to do it ourselves. But for this one, we needed a larger outlet to get it out. But I think once you read this, and by the way, folks, this is going to be a long story. It's a long story. They might cut it down, but right now it's almost at 10,000 words. So get your tea ready, get your coffee ready, get your whiskey ready, get your doobie ready. Whatever your vice is, get ready, because it's going to take a little time for you to read this story, but I think you're going to be absolutely captivated. With that, I bid you adieu. Thank you for watching. I should be back tomorrow. If you are a Status Coup member, be on the lookout. Be on the lookout if you're a Status Coup member. We will alert our members first. We will alert our members first when the story is coming out, and then we're going to have a members call either the day of the story, so that will be tomorrow, or Wednesday. If you're not on our email list, get on our email list right away. Statuscoup.com. Enter your email there so that you could know when the story's out and when our members call is. Very, very important. Also, we have a new number. We have a new number for text. So for those of you that are on our text list, don't worry, you're already on our text list. But for those of you who haven't signed up to our text list, text COUP, that's C-O-U-P, to 370-370. That's text COUP to 370-370. And you will get added to our text list. And by getting added to our text list, you will get a text. We don't do it for every live stream, but we do it for a lot of live streams. We text you to get around the YouTube suppression, and we're definitely going to text people when the story's out. So if you want to know as soon as that story's out, text COUP right now to 370-370. It doesn't cost you a thing. 370-370. Type in COUP. And as I end, I welcome new member Laura.
Welcome, Laura!
Oh, wait. Two. New member Laura. Oh, no, I got Lana. So we are now at 1,840 members. For those of you who want to join this members call, which might be tomorrow, sign up. Statuscoup.com/join. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you for watching. And remember, we're going to get through this together. Most people are not lacking compassion in this country. Most people have no earthly fucking clue what is going on all around them. Good night and good luck.